I'm still David Roland. I'll be presenting a chapter of a work in progress about a remarkable person that helped transform a newly transplanted graduate engineer from New York to Southern California. It's called the 1960 Comet. A 7-year-old 1960 Comet, Mercury Comet, was clearly not the studmobile of a duly graduated professional aerospace engineer, wannabe big city bon voyant. Nor was it a counterculture, anti-establishment, flower-painted hippie mobile. It just seemed like the best way to spend my second paycheck, even if it was just an anonymous pedestrian ride. Totally inappropriate for the nice Jewish boy from Brooklyn that I was. Arriving in Southern California without a car and therefore living in an apartment complex full of geriatrics because it was on the bus route to my work at the Long Beach aircraft plant, I thought any car would open up the promise of the exciting Southern California scene. At this time, Long Beach had the nation's highest median age, according to the US Census Bureau, and I wanted to leave it as soon as possible. I was so naive that the concept of a car loan hadn't even been considered. Both the cars at home, my mother's and my elder brother's, had been bought with cash. That made the ad posted in the company newsletter of an air-conditioned, mostly driven in rust-free Arizona, $400 car with only 90,000 miles on it, an irresistible call to freedom in this alien landscape that covered the equivalent of 3 eastern states and where nobody walked, even 2 blocks to the market. Of course, one of those blocks was the parking lot surrounding the market. And being in a car at least provides protective armor against the elderly old drivers trying to find parking, thereby improving your chances of navigating successfully. More importantly, I could move to a beach community where recent graduates, including some from my alma mater, had established a beachhead. At 22, I'd only been driving 4 years, since New York City's driving age was 18. The same as its drinking age at the time. And I hadn't driven a manual transmission, which the Comet was. Fortunately, I'd driven across country with my now former classmate Rob, also going to California, but just for the summer, as he had fallen a year behind and would be going back in the fall. His 1964 Volvo 122 became the first manual shift I'd ever driven. As you might expect, my first attempt at driving a manual shift weren't particularly smooth. Just starting on a flat street was a herky-jerky experience. If there was the slightest uphill, it would take 2 or 3 tries just to start moving. After a brief introductory drive, Rob hadn't let me drive until we made it over the Adirondacks and were into the flats of the Midwest. In addition to enabling me to drive the Comet, even if its column shift was less precise than the floor-mounted stick shift of the Volvo and the clutch was clumsy, the trip started me on a life events that would change me from the nice Jewish boy into a new and exciting persona that had been my goal on graduating and going to California. I couldn't have guessed how the fates would make me successful.